In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact system on how you can transform your current work into the most fun part of your day. So in the video, I'm going to be covering why your work should be the most fun of the day, how to make work the most fun of the day, and a last tip, which is a bonus tip I have to you, which is how to make work feel more rewarding. So let's get right into that. Okay, so first let's cover why your work should be the most fun of the day. So actually I have a quick story that I want to tell you. So whenever I did work, it never really felt like it was fun. Most of the part I just did it for the money itself. So you can already kind of tell how I never really got this exciting feeling to work. Which means that I of course procrastinated all my work, which means that I never really did any fucking work, obviously. But the reason why this happened to me was because I always used to hear this advice with 1 hour of video gaming or basically high dopamine activities is fine every single day. And what happened was that before I even worked, I would do some of the more fun and high activity dopamine activities, which means that I never really had the kind of energy and brain points, you could say. So like brain points is how many brain points it takes to do a certain activity. So for example, doing a high dopamine activity, of course, doesn't really take that much brain points, but it does take away your brain points, which means that you won't be able to do the more basic and more boring stuff, if that makes sense. So that means that whenever I have done a high activity thing, like watching TV series or scrolling on social media, I never ever had the brain points and the energy to do the actual work, which obviously makes sense, right? Because think about it. When we have our dopamine, right? We have a baseline. That baseline will be very highly crossed whenever we do a high dopamine activity. So when we do a high dopamine activity, our dopamine goes from the baseline all the way up here. So right now we are enjoying peak experience. Our dopamine is really high. But the problem with doing a high dopamine activity is that it will soon after you're done doing the activity drop below our baseline. So whenever it drops below our baseline, we need to wait for it to come to the baseline again before we can do the basic stuff. So you can see how dangerous this is. So if we do a high activity sport, or not sport, but activity, your dopamine will come up and it will crash after you're done with it. So that means that we won't do any more work basically after doing a high dopamine activity sport. So an action step for you right now, let me just look at my notes quickly. So my action steps to you right now is that you need to think about why your work feels boring. It's very important to reflect over something like this so we can find the source, and when we found the source of the problem, we can begin to fix it. So the next step that we're going to be covering is how to make work the most fun of the day. So I also have a quick story here. So there was a time where I finally decided to drop the fucking bullshit with 1 hour of video gaming and high dopamine activity is fine. It's absolutely not, right? I have been covering that. But the thing was that when I finally got some fucking pair of balls and stopped listening to all of these people and I dropped the 1 hour thing, that's when my work started to feel like fun. And that's when I just worked like a dog. And to be honest, I haven't really been that much experienced in it because I've only just been doing it. I've always been working a little bit in the morning, eating the frog, which means that you do the most important task right when you wake up. Like no brushing your teeth, no making your bed, like literally stinky breath, just sitting and working. And the thing is, I always did like 30 minutes, 1 hour of good work, but because I then indulged in a lot of high dopamine activity afterwards, I never did any more work that day. So basically, I made like one video every day, but it took me like 1 week to upload one. So, was it really worth it? Probably not. And that's why we want to cut this bullshit with 1 hour of video games. Or just any high dopamine activity. But your brain will probably begin to cope now and ask me, but when do I have time to do the fun things then? But I want you to think about something. Is it really fun to indulge in the high dopamine activities? So for example, porn. Porn is a very high dopamine activity, so that should be fun, right? But when have you ever felt like it was fun doing porn whenever you're done? So like when you have just watched porn, how much guilt do you actually feel and how much fun do you actually feel? Because at least for me, you could maybe be different, like you could be like the 1 out of a billion people, but whenever I watch it, I feel like a disgrace. I literally wish that I've never opened the browser, never looked upon it afterwards. I feel so dirty, and maybe you do as well. So that's why just drop the cope and just admit that you are addicted to it and try to fix the problem. The way that you fix the problem is by watching my content. So if you want to watch more of my content, then you can just go down and quickly subscribe. Well, now back to the topic. So the action step I have for you is to find out what current high dopamine activity you are doing. So it could be eating a lot of fast food. It could be watching some high dopamine activity like Netflix series, anime. It could be scrolling on social media, it could be masturbating, it could be watching porn, such things, right? And here's the interesting thing. Whatever activity that came up to your mind when I said that you had to remove one, that is the activity that you are having a problem with. So if TikTok, if you thought about scrolling, that is the thing that is currently stopping you from doing the most important work of the day. So it sounds simple, you just have to remove that one. So for me, when I asked myself this question, it was definitely Netflix series that came to my mind. I always fucking easily binge watch 3 to 4 hours of that shit. So if I just don't watch one episode, I'm good. That's when I work. Then I won't get this negative spiral. So we have finally come to the last thing, and that is a pretty nice bonus tip that I have for you, and we'll be covering how to make work feel rewarding. So another story that I want to tell you is that I always used to chase money before fulfillment. So I believe that the perfect thing is you chase more the fulfillment part than the money part. The reason for that is because whenever I chased money, I never felt good. I just never really wanted to work because it was only my motivation that drove me so far. Whenever my motivation stopped, I didn't want to work, and I didn't do it. I actually started out doing affiliate marketing. I never ever had any special feelings toward it. I never had a good fulfillment feeling, because what did it do for me? What did I do to the world? I didn't give shit. I only did it because I saw it as a quick way that I could get money. And that's why I never felt fulfilled. And because I didn't feel fulfilled, I of course didn't want to do any work. So if you're obsessed with money right now, and that's the only thing that you can see that you want to get right now, then you should probably rethink your mindset. Because I believe it's way more important to feel fulfilled when working, like I do right now. So I literally went from doing affiliate marketing to do YouTube. And not just some kind of YouTube. I do self-improvement. I help younger people. Maybe right now I am the reason for why somebody maybe haven't killed themselves yet. It's pretty crazy to say, but it may be true. So I'm doing something big right now. Something really fucking big fulfillment. So that's why the action step for you is going to be, let me just look at my notes again. Yeah, so you want to ask yourself right now if the job that you're currently doing, or the business, if you're doing it for mostly the work or the fulfillment. If you are doing it from the work, no, wait, what the fuck am I saying? For the work, no. If you're doing it for the money, then you may have to rethink, because that is what's stopping you right now from working 8 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours a day. Because when you work 16 hours a day, you're going to destroy your competition. Absolutely destroy them. And that's the path that I'm heading to right now. Just to work, work, work. Thanks for watching. And have a... Oh wait, never mind. One last thing. Today's effort shapes tomorrow's success. Always remember that. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day, bro.